Welcome back, everybody, to this week's live episode of the DCL Duo podcast, brought to you by My Path Unwinding Travel. And Sam, we're back. We're back. You're muted. Oh, you're muted. Now you're not muted. Now you're not muted. Unmuted? You are unmuted. You are unmuted. Yes.
Sorry.
No,
I'm so happy to be back. I have to apologize to those of you who were here on YouTube 3 hours ago looking for this show. That was my fault. I had posted on our Facebook and on all our socials about tonight's show. And of course, I'm a little jet lagged. And so I wrote down 5:30 p.m. Eastern, 8:30 p.m. Pacific. But it's the opposite, and I don't know how I got that in my head. So
yes.
Sorry, well, everyone.
We are wearing. Sam's got her ship happens. That's SHIP for everyone listening to this afterwards. I'm trying to enunciate that one. Ship happens. T-shirt on from Virgin Voyages. I of course am rocking the smoking jacket. Some of you may have seen on Instagram from Scarlet Night. And we
PJ party, Brian.
Oh, the PJ party, sure, but it could have gone for Scarlet Night.
Could have gone for Scarlet Night.
Yes,
well,
sorry, it's been a week and we're a little jet lagged. I completely forgot to say this bonus episode live show is also brought to you by the good folks over at WDW Magazine, our live show sponsor. Really appreciate the great folks over there, and so we're gonna actually have them on here later in August for some fun kind of special live shows that we're excited to share with you, but we can't talk about what they're about yet. So
look for a couple of live shows in August that are going to be on our non-Mondays. These are going to be additional bonus episodes, not replacing the Monday episode. So we will have one missed episode at the end of this month because we'll be on our Alaska cruise. But we are going to have some, as Brian said, some bonus episodes on some non-Monday nights. So look out for those. That's right.
But thank you to the folks over at WDW Magazine. If you have not headed over there to check them out, be sure to head over to dcl-magazine.com. You can get your issue of the special float test edition of the DCL magazine that they did. And fingers crossed, we're going to have another edition of that here in the near future. But for now, head over there, check it out. If you use code DCL Duo, all caps DCL Duo, you can get 10% off everything in the WDW Magazine store. Some great calendars, of course, the magazine subscription. I think that they have consolidated. I've got to go back and check my email. I think it came through while we were gone. I think they consolidated down to one digital subscription now for the magazines, so you can get just all the goodness. So watch out for that. Go over there, check them out. Please head over there and check them out because they support this show each and every week, and we appreciate them for that. So. Yeah. All right, Sam.
We got to talk news, Brian. Are we going to bring out our friends?
Let's bring in our guests. Yeah, let's bring in our guests for news. So, of course, this evening we have with us the DCL Duo Sr. Michael and Tracy. Michael, of course, rocking his Virgin Voyages hat. Tracy with her Turks and Caicos sweatshirt there. Fresh off of Virgin Voyages, all of us. We departed Miami yesterday evening and are fresh. Yes, Tracy is tired, but welcome, guys. Welcome to the show. Good to see you again. We're all looking tan. Michael, you guys are muted now. How'd that happen? How is everyone muted? Try that again. There we go. Hi.
There. So we at least made it back yesterday.
Yeah.
10 minutes.
Technically speaking, well, actually, we got home yesterday by Pacific time, but today by Eastern time. So
yeah.
Tired, right. But it was so good.
All right, DCL news. Let's rock this quickly, Sam, because we got to get back into. Everyone is excited to hear about Virgin Voyages from the four of us, But tonight we do have some DCL news.
The Virgin Voyages Quattro, let's say.
Yeah.
But we got to hit a couple of pieces of Disney Cruise Line news. First is DCL itineraries still not out yet, so we still don't know any. Well, give me 1 second. DCL itinerary is not out until from beyond, early September 2026. Except Brian is now the sleuth.
No. I cannot take credit for this. Thank you to our good friend CT over at Tinfoil Mouse Ears for pointing out that another creator out there, Joe from Back to the Mouse, had been trolling the Galveston website, and the Port of Galveston has a calendar on their website, and that shows the Magic making calls on Galveston starting November 20th of 2026 with alternating 5-night, 4-night sailings, a couple 6-night sailings, and 1 week-long sailing out of the port of Galveston. So we do know that the Magic will be in Galveston in the Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's time frame. So watch out, I guess, for that when the itinerary releases. But the Magic will be in Port of Galveston. You can head over to the official port website and look at their, I think it's in their cruise and parking area. I'm looking at the calendar now. You can kind of see which ships are there, and they clearly got the Disney Magic labeled. I went over this afternoon. I was scrolling through. I'm like, I don't see it. Maybe Disney had to pull it down, but it is up there starting in November 2026. So yes.
Well, and some other small pieces of news from Disney Cruise Line. We have seen now from a couple days ago, Disney Cruise Line posted on Instagram and Facebook pictures of the Stern character, which we all knew, of course, we've seen the concept art, was going to be Spider-Man and a bunch of the spider bots. And so now they have actually released the actual images of the character and what it all looks like in real life. So it's pretty cool. So check that out over on Disney Cruise Line's Instagram account. That's probably the best place to look for it. Another piece of information that came out, or photographic information or videos as well, is actually some of the puppetry, some of the Titan puppetry that is from the Hercules, the musical show, also from the Disney Destiny. So there's also a piece of concept art. I reposted on our Instagram, but it's on the Disney Parks blog. So if you're looking for that picture, a little bit more information about the Hercules, the musical on the Disney Destiny, as well as a little video of those puppets in action and sort of how they move, then you can check out both the Disney Parks blog as well as Disney Cruise Line's Instagram account. So yeah, so good stuff coming out, of course. As we said, no official word on itineraries. So I guess
Karen's saying in the chat that the Disney Wonder is on the port schedule for Sydney in December 2026 into 2027 as well.
Yes, I have heard that, but I have also heard whispers that even though the Wonder's on the port schedule, that is going to change. So that I would look at that with a little
healthy dose of skepticism. Healthy dose of skepticism. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Which all of us, until Disney releases anything, by the way, even that Galveston stuff is just pure speculation.
Right.
So
they can change. They can change. They do have commitments to the port of Galveston for certain ships and a certain number of ships, but they could certainly change which ship is there
and when. Yeah.
And when exactly.
All right. I think we're ready to get into our Virgin Voyages review. I've changed my background for the evening to the Valiant Lady parked in Miami. So we are ready to go. Wearing the smoking jacket. I'm getting several comments on the smoking jacket. Compliments, I should say, not just comments on the smoking jacket. I want everyone to know, Sam thought it was ridiculous for me to buy this. Probably was ridiculous for me to buy it, but we got a lot of compliments. We got a spoiler alert. We had an former NBA player on the cruise, and part of one of our things was he had to say hello to the best dressed person at an event, and that was me with the smoking jacket. So there you go. I'm pretty excited about this. I think rivaled only by the matching.
The only one left.
Yeah. Don't be mean, Michael. Don't be cruel. Come on. I was not the only one left. The only other outfit that we wore that you got to head over to our Instagram to check these out that might rival my smoking jacket is, of course, Michael and I wearing matching. I learned the name of these today, Sam, from somebody. Matching Roosevelt's Cabana tuxedos. Called them. So there you go.
And I thought I could have, we could have worn that. I think we talked about it at one point, but
yeah,
tonight
for sure.
Yeah.
Well, hey,
who knew that was going to be the popular outfit?
Yeah, exactly. All right, well, let's dive right in. And I want to preface this with, I really want to hear Tracy and Michael's thoughts. We have an episode in the back catalog where Sam and I talked about our first Virgin Voyages cruise, and I think a lot of our feedback is going to track to that episode. I think if anything, maybe I am a little bit more enamored with Virgin Voyages after our second sailing than I was after our first. That said, I think the people we really want to hear from tonight are Tracy and Michael, because first sailing, also very experienced Disney cruisers. And so I think there's a lot of people.
First time on any line outside of Disney. So I want to be very clear with this preface. Tracy and Michael, they have sailed on Disney Cruise Line. They're both, well, actually, Tracy is a Pearl cruiser. Technically, Michael's one away from Pearl. He's 24 cruises, 26 cruises between across the two of them. But they've never sailed on any other line before sailing on Virgin Voyages with us this past week. I want to start with Tracy and Michael. Who is Virgin Voyages for? Obviously 18 and older, but who is it for, would you say, now that you have sailed on Virgin Voyages?
You want to take it?
Yeah, I'll start. I like Brian when he went the first time. I was a little apprehensive about it being too far on the wild side, and while there might be some of that, there's something for all adults. I mean, you can find where you fit in. There's enough different ship spaces. There's enough going on simultaneously that you can find your crowd, your location to hang out. And that may change through the day. The same venue may change who's there. I mean, I don't think any of us were up much past midnight, but the bars were, a couple of them were rocking until 2-3 o'clock in the morning.
But to put it in perspective, we would have all been in bed on Disney Cruise Line by about 10 p.m.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, it's because there's nothing else to do.
Yeah. So this is clearly a ship with some adult nightlife to it, which we'll get into. I want to rewind for a second. So I know you were both apprehensive about this cruise. I want to start there. What were you most worried about heading into this cruise?
I think for me, I'm directionally challenged. I'm a super picky eater, and just some of the talk about, an all adult cruise, and Virgin Voyage, like just some of the hype, like, was maybe going to be too much, that I wouldn't like that part. That was what I was like the most nervous about was, I know how to navigate a Disney ship really easily now because I've been on all of them. So it's, I can get around, but I'm really directionally challenging. Can I just say, for the record, like day 2, I found my room all by myself with no magnets on the door. So the food, I'm sure we'll get into that. There's, a few wins, a few losses there. But overall, I am 100% glad that we went. I don't know if you have what you were most worried about.
Really, by the time we got on the ship, because what I was most apprehensive about was that it was going to be all party everywhere all the time, and loud, and people being obnoxious. Just the videos you see on YouTube and Facebook of what's going on. And by the time we got on, I realized it's like not everyone's going to be like that. It's just like when you read a review on Amazon, it's biased towards the negative.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same there. A lot of the videos you see, it's because people found it funny. They find it interesting. They want to find something wrong with it. So by the time we got on, I had reasoned that that's not going to be everyone. There's going to be spaces to get to that are quiet. So that had really subsided, and that was confirmed when we were on the ship, that there really is something. No matter what kind of adult you are, you're going to find your place.
Yeah. Can I jump in and just say the thing I was most worried about the first time, and I don't know that I said this on our first episode, but I'll say it again now because I think my fears were even more allayed on this cruise. I was afraid I wasn't cool enough for Virgin Voyages. And I got to tell you, everyone
says the co-host of a successful podcast. I'm just not cool enough for this.
I just have this, there's a little bit of that, self-conscious, teen tween still inside me. And so I was a little worried, am I not cool enough for Virgin Voyages? I got to tell you though, that everyone is cool enough for Virgin Voyages. This is a very like choose your own adventure,
come as you are,
body positive, very diverse in terms of races, in terms of sexuality, in terms of what people look like. It is a really nice environment of very different people. You have, you're going to have some people who are real different from you. Maybe they live a different lifestyle and different way of relationshiping, like non-monogamous relationshiping. But there's plenty for everyone, and there are people from all walks of life on this ship. There are people with disabilities on this ship. There are people who will look like you and people who will not look like you. And then, of course, the crew, you've got people from all different nationalities
Yeah.
and a really diverse crew as well.
I will say this may be a place where both the hype and Virgin's own marketing are kind of doing it a disservice a little bit, because I think their marketing is all about this sort of adult, tongue-in-cheek, cheeky, edgy cruise line for beautiful people, but like it ran the game. There was like an 85-year-old guy, the Scottish guy that we saw. He was like 85-year-old dressed in his full regalia, for dinner one night. Definitely folks with disabilities, folks using mobility scooters, just like you see on Disney Cruise. It runs the gamut. Now, I think much like any other cruise line, the type of people and the experience you're going to have is also like, there's a bunch of different factors that go into that. One of which was this time we opted for a 7-night sailing to the Caribbean on Virgin, as opposed to a 4-night sailing that we took to start. And, I will say this, I didn't see a ton of difference between the two. I'm just gonna be perfectly honest about it. But I think coming out of Miami on 3 and 4-night sailings, you're much more likely to draw the Bachelorette crowd, the bachelor party crowd, the weekend getaway drinking crowd, like all of that sort of stuff is much more likely than on a 7-night. So I think, if you're really concerned about it, I'd say look at a longer sailing with an asterisk. Unfortunately, Virgin does not seem to be doing any 7-night sailings out of Miami on Valiant Lady to the Caribbean for the next 2 years. So I don't know why that was, because our ship felt pretty full. But I would say those shorter sailings are probably like being on, Carnival or Royal. Like, the shorter the sailing, the less expensive it is, the little rowdier it gets. But I think it really is it does run the gamut. So let's
To your point, though, I did see at least 2 or 3 different bachelorette parties on the 7-night cruise.
Oh,
So
yeah, there are. Listen,
they were there. I mean,
Yeah.
but it wasn't. I mean, they were tame. They weren't out of hand. No more so than anyone else.
Right. Well, and the thing that I want everybody to know is that there were spaces where people were sitting with their family and playing games or doing puzzles. There is a place where you can go sing private karaoke so you don't have to sing in front of all the people. There were places that were rocking the house until 3 a.m. It was all the time. You could find, if you're not into staying up till 3 o'clock in the morning and dancing all night long, it's okay. There's like a ton of things to do. If you are into that, that's cool too. And that was the thing I think that I got the most from this cruise was, like you said before, it's like for everybody. Like, I even, for those who watched the show a few weeks ago when we talked about taking our newly adult daughter to her graduation cruise on the Disney Treasure, I literally said to him, I think we could bring Lexi on this cruise ship too. Like, I think she would like this as well. The music was great. Like but there was so much variety that whatever you want to do, there was a place for you.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and we have a question in the comments from Vanessa, whether or not this cruise would work for you and Andrew. Absolutely, Vanessa. I think this cruise, and I see Robin Sweat is answering as well, that she has a brother who has similar disabilities to Andrew. I definitely think that this would work. I don't know where the accessible areas are for some of the shows, because I wasn't paying attention to that, I'm sorry to say, because it wasn't as obvious to me maybe as it was on Disney, but I'm sure that there are. The one thing that I would want to find out more about is where the accessible areas are for Scarlet Night, because you don't want to miss Scarlet Night, and there's a lot to see and do on Scarlet Night, and that would be the one area where I'd want to like reach out to. I hope they have similar to what Disney has, which is like sort of a disability services, so that you can find out more information. But I would definitely encourage you to do that, because I think that would be helpful. But we saw folks in wheelchairs on the cruise. We saw folks in mobility scooters on the cruise, and definitely the ship and the hallways were very accessible, very I would say easy to navigate. The one area that like I said, what might be difficult is like on Scarlet night where it's real crowded and everyone's out. That's the one area where I'd want to have more information. Well, let's jump to a couple of the events that we did.
Before we do events, I want to talk about I think there's a couple of things we need to do to orient folks into Virgin that we did not do just yet.
Sure.
So first, I want to talk about they only have 4 ships. All right, so they have the Scarlet Lady, the Valiant Lady, the Brilliant Lady, and the Resilient Lady. Brilliant is their newest ship.
Yeah, it's Brilliant hasn't come out yet, but yes, 4 ships. Yeah.
That's where I was headed.
Sorry.
Brilliant Lady is coming out. She will start off sailing in New York, and then she's going to make her way around the United States and up into Alaska, and will be based permanently on the West Coast, by the way, doing Mexican Riviera cruises, Alaska cruises, repositioning cruises on the West Coast. So that's going to be fabulous if you're a West Coaster to have that Virgin ship out. All 4 of them, exact same. They're exact same layout ships, exact same size ships. These ships are probably about the size of what we're going to see out of the new class of ship that Disney is building, slightly bigger than the Magic and the Wonder, slightly smaller than the Dream and the Fantasy. They have all kinds of cabins to them. They're catered to some solo cruising, so they have some special cabin categories for solo cruising. They've got traditional inside, cabin categories. Most of the ship has some kind of balcony going on with the staterooms. They, of course, have sort of a regular, passenger cabins, category, but then they also have their suite class, Rockstar, which Tracy and Michael sailed in, and then a Mega Rockstar category, which Sam and I sailed in. And those come with a whole bunch of added perks. I will not go into detail on all of those perks right now, but there are a lot of added perks that are really nice. The ships sail primarily the Valiant Lady, which we were on, sails primarily out of Miami. I also just wanted to quickly kind of run through a couple of orienting things around venues and dining, just so folks understand. In terms of venues, these ships are smaller, but interestingly enough, seem to feel like they have more venues than the Magic and the Wonder, or even the Dream and the Fantasy have. Well, there's no kids club, and there is instead of having 3 main dining rooms, they have a bunch of restaurants. So there is no main dining concept on Virgin. There are a bunch of specialty restaurants. The restaurants on board Virgin include Extra Virgin, which is the Italian restaurant, The Wake, which is a steakhouse style restaurant, Pink Agave, which is the Mexican restaurant, Test Kitchen, which is kind of supposed to be like a chef's tasting menu kind of restaurant, and then Gunbae, which is the Korean barbecue restaurant. You have to make reservations to dine at these places, and so they don't open reservations until you get on board the ship, unless you're sailing in one of the Rockstar categories, and so you have to get on the ship and make reservations for dinner, and you go to those restaurants. If you can't get a reservation, or you can't get one at a time you want, whatever it is, they have a pizza place, which I'm sure that we will hear from Sam and Tracy and Michael about the pizza place. They have a pizza place, and then instead of having a buffet, they have an area that is called the galley, which has more of like a food court kind of feel, I would say. There's different stations serving different kinds of food. There's a Mexican spot. There's a sushi place. Spoiler alert, the sushi's not great. There's a grill, a bakery, a ramen station, a salad station. They've got a couple coffee bars on board that serve specialty coffees and drinks. Everything, all of the food is included, with the exception of some menu upcharges that you can pay for, right? But it's like usually one menu item, and you don't need to order it to have a great meal. So all the food is included.
Like a lobster crab type add-on, or an upgraded steak or a caviar add-on kind of a thing. So
Yes.
it's completely not necessary. There's
Karen,
no dress code for dinner.
Well, Karen, I was gonna say there ain't no dress code on board. Virgin Voyage, like their kind ask is not to wear swimwear into the dining room, but beyond that, they do not care. And if you saw the photos of us, Michael and I, our outfits, our Roosevelt matching outfits, we went to dinner in those. So we
went to Gunbae.
Yeah, well, but
we could have gone to dinner.
We could have gone to any restaurant.
Yeah, we could have gone. There is no dress code on board other than please don't wear your swimwear into dining.
Wear clothes.
Yeah, wear clothes. Yeah. Yeah. The other thing, so there's lots of bars on board, multiple bars. There's SIP, there's the social club. SIP is the champagne bar. There's a social club where that's what Tracy was mentioning, people doing board games, playing cards, all that kind of fun stuff.
Yeah.
There's the draft house or the draught house, which is beer. There is the Mediterranean
There's
bar
canning.
on board. Yeah. So there's a ton of bar spaces, a ton of restaurant spaces. There is a casino, just to set expectations. It is not in your face. It is not something you have to walk through every day. There is no smoking in the casino. The smoking areas are 2 areas on board the ship. One is on the outer deck. I think one is maybe the Den Casino. We couldn't tell,
Right.
which is
Yeah,
a separate.
There's a small separate casino room that is a smoking casino room.
And then and beyond that, tons of activities on board. They've got kind of an adult playground area with a seesaw and swings, 2 pools on board, one kind of main pool with a DJ and bars, the other kind of more of what they're calling a wellness pool that's surrounded by the gym and stuff. There's a outdoor heavy bag there. If you see in the picture, if you're watching this online, you see in the picture, there's a big jut out at the top of the ship. There's a big cargo net back there that you can lay on. There's an arcade for adults on board that's all free play video games, like old style video games on board. There's a running track on the top deck of the ship. You probably can't make out in the picture that's behind me, but there is a running track on the top deck of the ship. But I just want to put tons of venues and spaces on board. In a spa, there is a spa and there is a thermal suite in the spa. That does cost extra, obviously, the spa treatments, but even the spa is broken up into a men's salon, a women's salon, a spa, and then a nail salon, all separate venues. There's a tattoo parlor on board. There is a shopping area on board. So lots and lots of spaces, lots of places where you can get lost and wander around and have fun. So just want to do that. I want to orient that into the ship. With that, Tracy, Michael, my next question for the two of you, you step on the Valiant Lady, first impressions.
I think for me, the lack of atrium didn't matter to me, because when we walked in, we were on deck 7, if I remember correctly, when we walked in, and it's still a beautiful space. It's just not the open atrium or grand hall that we generally expect from Disney. But it was open. They had like a glass railing there was a spiral staircase that went down. I thought it was lovely, and we were greeted by people. We were not obviously announced like Disney, welcome to the Andreco family or anything like that. But there were, I don't know, 5 or 6 of the happenings crew that were dressed and had these great big fans that were like welcoming us, and they were super nice. And then, as the cruise went on, we'd see them along at different venues, different events that we did. So for me, getting on, we've had our name announced a couple gazillion times. Not that it's lost its magic or anything, but it's not something that I'm going to be like, yeah, I'm not going to go on this cruise because they don't have an atrium. I felt like it was very welcoming and very beautiful. So for me, it was pretty easy to just walk on and let's see what we can find.
And a couple of things I'll mention. Being on Disney, we love families, we love kids. The kids running around and yelling and screaming don't bother us at all. We're used to that. The 2 places I noticed definitely that kids were missing was, one, the first morning going up to the galley for breakfast. There weren't kids running into you and running around and big families in the way with not knowing. There were adults that didn't know what they were doing in the galley with food, but that was one place. The other place was in the staircases. The railing was much higher than on the Disney ships.
But I think
I don't know if that was purposeful because we don't have kids, because it seemed high even for me as an adult.
But I demoed for you, Michael. The reason why is because if you were had a little too much to drink and you ran into the railing, you wouldn't just go right over. So.
Flip over it, right? Yeah. The other big thing, what I liked is on the Disney ships, all the bar spaces are pretty much closed off, and if they're not open, a lot of them you can't make use of that space. On Virgin, I think a lot of it could be because kids aren't there. All the bar spaces are wide open and they're along. There's on the Disney ships I found there's very little open seating on the decks, even the main decks to go just sit and relax in. If you go, there's 3 booths and they're all full. You're out of luck. You might look across and see if the other ones on another deck are open, but again, there's only 3. But on the Valiant Lady, we had, SIPS has three big areas to sit in, so you don't even have to be near the bar if you're looking for it. So as you got further away from the bar, it would likely get more and more quiet. The draft house, it didn't open until afternoon. There was seating there. People were sitting in the roundabout, both along the top and at the bottom, going into the social club. Like I said, there were couples, families, groups of strangers playing games all day long. And then the draft house dock house, and going out to the dock. There was plenty of space just to sit and be out of the crowd, and and in the shade.
I think I didn't notice this until this like this sailing. We were sitting in SIP, and you mentioned this, Michael, and I said I hadn't noticed this on our first sailing. I got to give credit to Virgin for some really good design choices for the ship. So on Disney, you walk a hallway to get to a room, and then that room is the bar or the D lounge or whatever it is. Virgin made use of the full space. So when you're walking through SIP, you're effectively walking down a hallway, but the way that they have set up that bar, it's like, well, I'm walking through the bar. I'm walking through the bar to get to the atrium, and then I'm walking through the atrium to get to the next bar, and then the coffee shop, and so like every space has been used in a way that they're like almost maximizing that space on the ship to create more spaces where people can congregate, have a drink, sit down, talk, play games, whatever it is, but without like being like, well, this is the room for that and this is the room for that. They're using the whole ship to move you through. So I thought
honestly, for me, comparing it to, even the Magic and the Wonder, it felt so much bigger in a good way. Like it felt wider. Everything felt wide open. You didn't feel like you had to crunch in, if you were passing people in those hallways. And then to know that on either side of that hallway are seating areas all along that you can just sit down and have a drink, not have a drink. I mean, Michael worked on this cruise, so he was in multiples of these spaces working, and there was places where he could be, every time he needed to, where he could just sit in a quiet area and work. And it just seems more open.
Yeah. Well, and this ship holds, so all of the ships on Virgin Voyages hold like a maximum of about 2,700 passengers. We were full sailing, so that was 2,600 some odd passengers on our sailing. That's what, when you consider full, they're talking about the rooms are occupied, even if they can hold, 2 people, and they might only have 1 person, but it was a full sailing. Michael did work. I remember one of the things that you said you encountered was the singles meetup. So every day there was a singles meetup on the cruise, and this was not just for solo sailors.
Solo cruisers. They didn't have to be single.
Right.
Solo cruisers.
Yeah. So
So
there was no
part of that. He was just working there.
There was no Coldplay concert on board for anyone who was worrying about that. Yeah.
But there are, Disney, certainly there are people who sail by themselves on Disney. I would say it's more common on a Virgin Voyages ship to find plenty of, solo cruisers. And so they would have this meetup every single morning, I think around 10 a.m. They would have to meet up in a particular spot. It happened to be at the draft house most days, which I think is where Michael liked to start his sort of morning work, because that bar wasn't open, so it was one of the quieter spaces.
But Sam, I think it's important to highlight. I think it's important to highlight because you're talking about solo cruising, and I think people get this like notion of what Virgin's for is like solo cruisers. People want to meet. It's like a mix and mix. I want to highlight. We start our mornings every morning at 9 a.m. with coffee and brain teasers, hosted by the crew. In the lounge,
the mind benders.
Yeah, mind benders. So it was puzzling and then Sam and I did a speed puzzling challenge, and Michael and Tracy helped us. Jigsaw puzzle.
Mind benders is mind puzzles. So most like rebuses and Sudoku and crossword type things. Yeah,
but like I just want to highlight. I think it'd be helpful, Sam, talk to folks about there is a huge range of activities. This isn't all like, oh, we're going to go drink in the bar and then sit by the pool. Like there were people who,
Yeah, there are drink tastings and there are other kinds of classes as well that are, there's like build a charcuterie board class, right? There is a tequila and mezcal tasting. These are add-on costs, these ones that are, include a food or drink as a part of it. There's even a coffee one, I believe, as well. Like, so there is a bunch of different kinds of, I'll call them seminars, similar to what you have on Disney Cruise Line. And some of them include alcohol and some of them do not include alcohol. But there's things throughout the entire day. There are some workout classes as well. Lots of really interesting ones. There's one that's a bungee cord one. That one is an add-on course, but cost. But most of the workout classes are not. Tracy did a dance class, and then she and I together did the VHS workout, which is an 80s themed workout. Tracy, tell folks about the class that you attended.
I did two, actually. I did the rolling and stretching class in the gym, and it was great. I mean, they had all the equipment that we needed. The guide was really good at explaining what we were doing, why we were doing it. And then I did a dance. Let's see, what was it? Retro. Maybe it was a retro. I don't know. But it was one of the Happenings crew, and he taught us dance moves. And I know that they had like at least one that was a couples one, but there were several different. I think there was a salsa. You could take a salsa class. There was several different dance classes if you just wanted to go, like, and the amount of people that were there for those classes, I would say, were probably between 10 and 15. So the classes weren't huge. You weren't, bumping into people. The venues that they held them in were the right size for the amount of people that they had. You didn't have to sign up ahead of time. I mean, you could like heart it on your app or whatever, but if it wasn't a paid one, like I just showed up at the rolling and stretching one. The gym, by the way, was really nice. Bigger than Disney's, pretty much the same equipment, but bigger. So that was, that's always something I like to look at too. So, and then like you talked about up on the, I think it's on deck 16, they do have like the heavy punching bags. Although and they have a pickleball court. I watched a pickleball game. First time I've ever done that.
The sea days at pickleball, you could go and they
learn how to play.
And then play, and they had it from like 10 to 3. It was, going on. So lots of stuff to do that is not an add-on cost, and then a handful of things that are an add-on cost. And most of the activities are run by, as Tracy mentioned, the Happenings cast, which the Happenings cast is Virgin's answer to the cruise director, assistant cruise director, and all of your entertainment staff, right? So all of these folks, there's 12 different folks in the Happening staff. They all have a different moniker, based on sort of what they do or what their role is. And they all either teach classes or run the activities. They do trivia, they do the mind benders, they do all of those, all of the seminars. So they are, they're all really like outgoing, fun people. They all seem to be be able to dance because they have to do some dance as a part of their job. A lot of them actually have come from a dance background. And they're really fun. You definitely make relationships with them if you want to. They are not, if you go to the activities, you will make relationships with them. And you also make relationships with bar staff. I'd say that's more so than your wait staff, only because you don't have the same wait staff at the different restaurants.
Well, and the Happenings cast all have like roles that they play. That's the other thing. Like you've got
they each have a moniker. One is like
the spark.
One is the spark. One is the glow.
But to put it in perspective, like, to make it real for people, there's like the charmer, who is like a mentalist on board, and so he's always doing mentalist types of shows or hosting karaoke and stuff like that. And then there's the foodie who hosts the charcuterie classes and that sort of thing. And then there was Yeah, there was the one who was, I forget her name, but she was like the trivia person, right? And
Yeah.
so she
The
hosted all the
gamer.
the gamer. So she hosts all the games on board. So like they have their little niches, and they cross over and stuff. I don't
The
pretend like they don't.
bounce.
Yeah,
Right.
the bounce,
Bounce.
the bounce, which was
Who
yeah,
bounces?
yeah,
We're still not sure what that is, but it's
Yeah.
fine.
yeah.
But they all have
She-
a
yeah.
different moniker. They're all really friendly, and like I said, they tend to be on the younger side. We're talking mostly in their 20s and maybe into their early 30s, but they're generally like to right out of college. And they're multinational. There's also the diva, who's a drag queen, she's one of the happenings cast as well, and she hosts a bunch of different events and a show on board as well. So
She's probably as
lots
close as you get to the cruise director, honestly. the
Yes,
diva.
yes,
Yeah.
she's probably the closest you get to a cruise director.
Yeah.
Yeah, so lots of different activities on board. One of the paid activities that we did is called the Grog Walk. It is a pub crawl. I recommend, if you're going to do it, on the first night. It's usually one of the things you can sign up on, usually a couple times across the cruise, depending upon how long your cruise is. I saw it on the schedule, I think like 4 different times, but I think on most cruises it's only offered, once or twice. But it is a pub crawl. It's an add-on cost. You get a drink at each bar. I think we had 4 drinks across the pub crawl. We ended at the PJ party that was on the first night. And it is, I know it's going to sound kind of cheesy, but it is like icebreakers, basically. You're sort of forced interaction. That's what Brian mentioned about when we met the NBA player, Austin Day, on board. He was in the Grog Walk with us, and one of the tasks that he was given was to find the best dressed person in the Grog Walk, and that happened to be Brian in his smoking jacket. So yeah, it's a really fun activity. Tracy and Michael, did you enjoy the Grog Walk? We roped you into that. We told you we're doing the Grog Walk night 1. You don't have a choice. We had been told by our lovely and wonderful travel agent, Kaylee, to do the Grog Walk on our previous cruise. We had a great time, and so we're like, we're doing it again, and we're forcing Tracy and Michael, and they're gonna love it. I just,
Oh yeah, you twisted our arm real hard. I mean, it was for me, like, I couldn't drink that fast, so I couldn't finish the drinks. But it was a great way to meet some really fun people. So that and that was our first day, so that helped me. If I saw somebody in the hallway, it's like, hey, you were on our Grog Walk. I met Austin on that. Another gentleman too that I had to make up like a little rap song about, which was terrible. So they had different little tasks that you did. But at the end of the night, when we finished at that very last place, and we had that really good slushy wine thingamabobby, like we were sitting at a table with, like, I don't know, 12 people maybe that we had met throughout this process. And we were just laughing and talking it up and making friends. And then we saw them throughout the cruise. And it was, fun to run into them and say, oh, what did you do today in Grand Turks? And to hear what other people were doing as well. So it's a great way if you were somebody who is extroverted like Sam and I are, for sure, it's a great way to meet lots of people, and to kind of set
for those introverts, Tracy. I think it's even better because you and I would just go talk to random people and
you're right, we would.
I think it was even better for Michael and Brian because it's like this forced interaction. And so we made friends. As you mentioned, we saw these folks throughout the cruise thereafter. I want to jump and answer Vanessa's question because folks who aren't watching the chat, this is something you sign up for in the app on board. If you are sailing Rockstar, or Mega Rockstar, you'll do that through your agent. But otherwise, you will be doing it all of these things through the app. You only have to sign up for things that are an additional cost, and anything else is just
which most are not. Most are not. Like most of that stuff is not. Yeah.
I was gonna say, don't get the feeling that they're gonna nickel and dime you, because far from it. I mean, we did a couple things that were paid extra. Everything else we did was free.
Yes.
Comes
I think
with
we only
it.
did two. I think the 4 of us as a group only did 2 activities that were a paid activity. One being the Grog Walk, and the other being there was a speakeasy event that they're doing. It's actually a special celebration for the Brilliant Lady coming out, and so they were doing sort of a call it a food and wine festival or something like that. And so they did a special kind of speakeasy event. That was the grog walk, I believe, was $50 a person. The speakeasy event was $20 a person, and they both included drinks. So generally speaking, the add-on events are things that are either sort of a specialty workout class, or they they involve additional food and drinks.
Yeah.
Right.
So Sam, I want to move us along because we've got tons of stuff we haven't even talked about, tons of questions to ask, and we're spending a lot of time on a grog walk. So I just want to move us along here.
Ice cream.
Yeah. So let me try to guide us through some categories here because I want to make sure that we hit them, and I also want to make sure we get to these great questions that are coming in from the chat. I want to start with let's start with stateroom. A bunch of people are asking about what the staterooms are like on board. Just quickly, the cruise line did try to disrupt what a normal stateroom would be like. And so some of the staterooms have like couches that turn into beds. And so they make them couches during the day and beds at night. They have some solo cruising staterooms, those sorts of things. Our view on staterooms may be a little bit skewed because Tracy and Michael sailed Rockstar, we sailed Mega Rockstar. And so our rooms were already larger than a normal cabin. Michael, Tracy, what did you think of your stateroom?
Well, something first. Yesterday, as we were on until they were basically about to escort us off the ship, we were able to walk down one of the hallways and see into a lot of the staterooms. So we could see there. I mean, to me, they were definitely not as crowded. Even those ones weren't as crowded as we see on the Disney ships. There seemed to be plenty of space to get around the bed in the area. Specifically, our stateroom, I mean, it has, I think it's like, they called it some kind of specialty king bed. So it wasn't a full king bed, but it was larger than a queen.
Again, this is Rockstar and Mega Rockstar. So you're not going to get.
What was it called? Suite. What was our suite called? I can't remember. Oh well, doesn't matter.
Seriously,
you're not
sweet.
Seriously sweet.
Yeah, so you're not going to get king size beds outside of the Rockstar status.
Right.
I would say, generally speaking, the rooms are made for, I think, 2 people, most rooms. There are some solo ones, but most rooms are made for 2 people. So you're not talking about a room that's supposed to accommodate a 4-person family. And so I think that's where the difference is. You don't have split bathrooms like you have on Disney Cruise Line, but you will have similar amenities. I would say the biggest difference is the modern flair to the rooms, like decoration-wise. These rooms are more modern looking, like they skew in that sort of thematically, versus Disney, which is obviously going for the classic ocean liner look. So
that's true of the entire ship.
Yes, the
entire ship has a definite modern skew.
And the thing about the bathroom, I was worried about not having the split bathroom because that is like one of my favorite things on Disney Cruise Line. But at least our bathroom in our suite was giant. It was not an issue.
But this is not okay. I got to give the caveat. We're not giving great information on rooms to folks because if you're sailing outside of Rockstar, you're going to have a very different experience. So I don't want to be like all flowers and rainbows about rooms. You get what you pay for on any cruise.
100%.
So look at the stateroom and
Virgin did
we
take
thought
flack.
Ours was great until we walked into Sam and Brian's.
And Virgin did take some flack early on for design and layout of some of their staterooms. At the non-Rockstar level, things like light switches hidden in closets. The beds not being the most comfortable because they were couches and beds like this. So it is a you get what you pay for situation. The starting price of a Virgin cruise, however, for 7 nights is going to be significantly lower than what you would pay on Disney, to the point where what you would probably pay to go on a Disney cruise is sailing in Rockstar already. So if you're concerned about room, I think the Rockstar is kind of a good price comparison is between Virgin and Disney. Another 2 points on staterooms. One is Virgin does some really interesting things with staterooms, especially around the back of the ship. They have these things called cheeky corner suites that have oversized balconies. Some of them, the balcony is the same size as the room itself. Last thing I'll say is, if you see the photo behind me, you'll see lots of dashes of red dotting all of the balconies. That is the hammock that Virgin Voyages installs on every one of the balconies on board their ship. That's right, you get a hammock in your balcony stateroom, and it is a comfortable hammock to the point that they sell them on board because people love them so much. So that's another sort of thing that Virgin does. It's a little bit different than Disney. I think one thing we need to talk about that people are going to be curious about is food. And so we did dine as a group. We dined at the Wake, which is the steakhouse. We dined at Extraversion twice, actually, which is the Italian restaurant. We dined at Pink Agave. We dined at Gunbay for the first time, all of us, because we didn't eat at Gunbay the last time that we were on board. So I don't know that we can go restaurant by restaurant.
Razzle Dazzle.
Oh, sorry, and Razzle Dazzle, which we did not eat dinner at the last time we were on board. I don't know that we can go restaurant by restaurant. I do want to take a minute to address Gunbay because it is one of the more unique dining experiences on board. I think the other ones are very much like sit down, order from a menu. You have, with the exception of Test Kitchen, sit down, order from a menu. You're served at a table. There's no show happening. The restaurant may have an atmosphere of whatever it is, they're serving, Mexican food, Italian food, whatever it is. But it's very much like sit down, order your meal, get your food and go. No show. Michael, Tracy, what did you think about kind of the food on board, generally speaking, food quality, all of that sort of stuff, service in the dining room and the atmosphere in the dining room?
I guess for me, if being the picky one, I'll go and just say everything that I had was at least as good as Disney. Some things I had were better. The atmosphere in each restaurant, they were all beautiful. The service staff was all lovely. We had one issue. I accidentally canceled a dinner reservation. It wasn't really, it was actually my stomach. I stuck my phone in and somehow, I don't know how I did it. And I think because of that, we got a not ideal table the first night we went to Extraversion. Literally, it was canceled for like 5 minutes. But anyway, so other than that little snafu, I would compare the food to taste wise for me was at least Disney, in some cases better. Again, I'm very picky, so it was a very it wasn't like I could just order off the kids menu like I do on Disney. But they were good about if there was something that I really didn't want on it, if I ordered the French toast at brunch but I didn't want the pecans and whatever, they were able to accommodate that. They asked us every single time, every single place, including the ice cream place, if we had allergies. So they were very allergy conscious. But for me, I can't say that, oh, wow, Disney is way up here and Virgin's way down here. I would say they're pretty comparable. Now, take me to Palo, and I don't know that I had any meal that was, for me, Palo, level. But overall, if you're talking just restaurants, now if you want to talk about the galley, that's a whole nother story for me. But for the restaurants, that's how I would kind of compare them apples to apples, really.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Definitely, as we discussed, I mean the quality of the food is somewhere between main dining and Palo. Yeah. I mean, Enchante and Remy go a step beyond. Nothing we had touched on that. But what I noticed in the restaurants, there aren't a lot of choices. I mean, if you're going back several times to the same restaurant, you're going to find 2 or 3 things you like, and you're probably going to stick with those because I mean, at least that's what I found.
Yeah.
But yeah, the wait staff. I mean, they were great. I mean, all of the wait staff we had was as good as the best ones I've had on Disney. And I mean, something to keep in mind there is they're not working for tips.
That's a good point.
They're not they're doing all that because they genuinely want you to have a good experience. And I'm not saying there aren't servers on Disney that are doing it for that. I mean, the last one we had on Disney, I know he was doing it for that because he just loves people and was doing it. But and the next statement I'm going to make, it just seemed more universal with the bar staff and the happening staff and everyone. I mean, they seemed to genuinely care. You didn't get the feeling that they were hovering around like I want a bigger tip, or I want you to add more gratuity, and they're just helping you out. I mean,
Yeah, I'd say the restaurants compare favorably to main dining on Disney, no question. I think some of them are a cut above main dining, but maybe a cut below Palo. There's nothing that approaches a Remy or an Enchante on board. Test Kitchen tries to be that, but we have universally heard not great things about Test Kitchen from people who've gone. I mean, some people have said it's good and they'd go again, but most of the feedback we've heard about Test Kitchen is avoid it. The other thing I want to highlight, that tipping thing. We didn't say this up front. Two things. Virgin prices are cabin by cabin. So when you go on and you look at the price, it's not $1,500 per person. It's $1,500 for the cabin, and up to two people can sail in that cabin. They also include tips. They discourage tipping on board. So no one's handing you get a little band. It's like a Disney band, only I think better. We showed it off on the last show we did. It's very small. It's just like an anchor rope kind of thing that goes around and has a little puck on top of it. That opens your stateroom door, checks you on and off the ship, pays for everything. They wander around with these Android phones that can tap the bands. The bar servers can. You never sign anything. You're never presented with a way to tip. If you want to tip somebody, you tip them in cash, and they're not expecting it. And I think, frankly, the only person...
The spa. Even
the
like
spa.
Had my nails done, and if you want to tip, you have to bring cash. There is nothing, as Brian said, there's nothing to sign. There's no percentage to add. There's nothing. There's one exception on the tipping. If you're staying in Rockstar or Mega Rockstar, it is customary to tip your Rockstar agent, who is your like personal concierge. So if it's comparable to sort of concierge on Disney, you would tip the concierge folks. If you're sailing Rockstar, Mega Rockstar, you tip your Rockstar agent is what they call them. Yeah. But other than that, there's really no tipping. And as Brian mentioned, the tap to pay, which is typically for a drink, is super seamless and easy. It's much quicker. You can do it from the pool. You stick your arm out and they touch your band, your band with their phone.
Yep. I want to spend 1 minute on one restaurant, which is Gun Bay. Gun Bay is the one restaurant we ate at that I think is different than the others. Gun Bay is a Korean barbecue restaurant, and so you do not get a private table, even as a group of four. You're always going to be sitting probably with a group of at least 6 to 8. So you will be paired up with other people. You sit at a round booth, shoulder to shoulder. It's a little cozy. And there's a grill in the middle where they're going to cook your food. It is not hibachi. It is much smaller than that. And basically there's some appetizers, things you can order, but otherwise, like the proteins, they just bring out what they're going to cook in the grill in front of you. Gun Bay is unique because of that group dining, and for one other reason that is very like Virgin Voyages adult only. Yes, you play a drinking game at Gun Bay.
Gun Bay.
One round.
You play one round of a drinking game at Gun Bay. I won't get into what the game is, but you do play a drinking game as a table, and I think it's meant to be, as Sam sort of said, an icebreaker. And so you kind of get to know your fellow diners by playing this little drinking game, and then you're all having a few drinks, and then you're socially lubricated, shall we say, to have a fun dining experience. And so it is a different restaurant. So if that does not sound like fun to you, or you're not into Korean barbecue, I would say Gun Bay is not a must do. I'm glad we did it. I would go back. I thought it was a fun restaurant to go eat at. There were not a lot of
and
choices.
Just on that setting, I mean, because you're sitting with other people, I mean, there were the four of us, we knew each other. There were two other couples. The one couple we started interacting with right away. They were conversing with us. The other couple, we tried to get them involved, and it just seemed like it wasn't what they expected, or they weren't having a good experience, or didn't like the food. So there was less interaction with them.
Yeah. I want to jump in on the food overall, and just say the food is more adventurous typically than what you see on Disney. So there isn't there isn't always a plain steak on the menu or a plain piece of chicken on the menu. So that's one area where I think Virgin maybe doesn't do as well as Disney in main dining. which is just that they don't have really sometimes any plain options. As Tracy said, you can ask for something. I mean, we both got the steak in extra virgin, which was like a gorgonzola crusted steak, and we said, can we have it without the gorgonzola? And they were like, sure, no problem, right? So there are modifications they are of course willing to make, but when you look at the menu immediately, you may be like, I'm not sure there's anything on here I really want to eat. So that's one of the negatives, I'd say.
And I think for us, especially because we've sailed Disney so often, we kind of know what we can. Like, I can always ask for a Caesar salad. I can always ask for a Caesar salad with chicken on it if I want to at Disney. That was not an option on Virgin. So now I could go to the galley and get a Caesar salad,
Or the pizza place.
or go to the pizza place and get a Caesar salad. But that was not an option in the restaurants, and so that kind of flexibility that Disney gives us in the main dining restaurants, where some nights you maybe order the soup from the other restaurant and they bring it over for you, just because they're being super nice about it. That was not an option on Virgin. So for me as a picky eater, that was made me a little nervous, but I didn't starve everybody. I'm still here, so it's all good.
Yeah. Well, and look, you can go eat pizza every night if you want. If you're that picky of an eater, they've got Mediterranean tapas that they serve some afternoons and stuff that I think got Mediterranean flavor to it, but it's basically grilled chicken, grilled beef, grilled shrimp skewers. They had a place that serves popcorn, soft pretzels, hot dogs. Yeah,
so
gummy bears.
Yeah, so there are tons of different food options on board.
Wait, the best food, in my opinion, on it, there were maybe one miss on the breads and pastries and desserts.
The breads were so
the
good.
The breads just overall, whatever you got, were good. So cinnamon buns.
Yeah.
Whatever they had was good.
I want to push us into a new topic because we still got tons of stuff to cover. I think a lot of people get nervous about Virgin for one reason, Scarlet Night. And I think we got to talk about Scarlet Night and what it is and what our experience with it was. Scarlet Night, for those who don't know, every sailing has a Scarlet Night. It's like, for Disney aficionados, it's like your pirate deck party, except if the music was, DJ'd and the storytelling was just, this is not like super risque storytelling, but it's risque. It's got a little adult theme to it. So I know that Ashley asked, what was that big octopus that was on the pool deck? I got my Virgin Voyages octopus right here. Like, what was that big octopus on the pool deck? This is Virgin's effort, and I think this probably comes from the people they took from Disney, to do a night that has some storytelling around it and that culminates in a party. So Scarlet Night is celebrating this mythological story of the first sailor to cross the seas. He was interested in exploring the ocean. He's the first one to dive off of his boat into the ocean to explore the depths below, and he meets this octopus goddess. They fall in love. They have, as they like to say on board, an entanglement. And he and the octopus goddess, she shows him all of the depth of the sea. Of course, he as a human needs air. One night she keeps him down too long. She sees that the sailor's going to die, and so she plucks his soul from him and hurtles it into the night sky. There is a flash of scarlet
Puts
red.
it in globe first.
I can't remember if she put it. I guess she put it as. It depends on who you ask.
An orb.
But she plucks his soul, throws it up into the sky. There is a flash of scarlet, and it becomes the night moon, so that the two of them can forever continue their adventures as the moon constantly sets below the waves, kind of thing. And so, so that is the myth behind Scarlet Night. The reality of Scarlet Night is everyone is out wearing red, as some kind of red, and it starts with a big kind of production in their atrium, which is nothing like a Disney atrium, let me put it that way. Big production in the atrium. And then there's lots of little things happening around the ship that you can kind of go see and do. And everything then migrates up to the pool deck for a big party where everyone's dancing. People are jumping in the pool in their clothes. There's a show and there's a party that happens. Yeah. And then after a bit, that party actually migrates into the nightclub on board called the Manor, and that's Scarlet Night. And Scarlet Night is like they decorate the whole ship, but by the time you're going to bed, all the decorations are gone. So like it is a sort of migrating kind of party with lots of different things you can do. We have now twice done something they do on board that's a tour. It's an invitational tour. I don't even want to mention what it is because I don't want everyone like going out and asking about it. I'm sure you can look it up in other settings. We may have even mentioned it on the last show we did. It's a small group tour that takes you from some of the places to different places around the ship to hear the story of Scarlet Night from different perspectives, and then brings you up to the pool deck for the big party at the end of the night. So it's kind of a more curated experience of Scarlet Night. Tracy, Michael, what did you think of Scarlet Night?
I thought, I mean, for me, it was a lot of fun to see everybody dressed up, and it was red, everything from like red shorts to formal gowns. So any array of red is okay. And the show was good. Was I glad that I was on the deck above the pool? Yes. If you imagine like Pirate Night down on the deck where where the pools are on Disney, where it's crowded and everybody's trying to get by the stage to be the pirates, whatever. That's what it was on the pool deck area. It was just lots of people, and the music is pretty loud, and everybody's dancing. The dancers and the happenings crew does some dancing, and then eventually they start dancing in the shallow end of the pool, and they start splashing people, and the next thing you know, people are jumping in fully clothed. But I was glad we were up above because it wasn't quite as crowded. And then the spaces afterwards, like all the different bars seemed very crowded. Like I'm not sure how I would have navigated that without the little tour that we did, because I did
karaoke
unless
with the
there's
Diva that night, Tracy.
Pardon?
Probably you
Say that
would have been at karaoke with the Diva that night, I bet.
Yeah, you're right. I would have been at karaoke. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. But I don't know how you would decide where to go because all the spaces had music. They were pretty crowded. But everybody was having a great time. So I enjoyed it kind of from a distance. So, and I do like to party and I do like to dance. So, but it just, for me, I just couldn't figure out where I would have gone, so I don't know if you felt it kind of the same way.
Probably. I mean, yeah. I think you would just either have heard about someplace to go, or you would have gone someplace. But
with friends.
But at the end, everyone's going to the pool deck for that culmination. Regardless of which DJ, which party you're at, whether it's the dock had something going, the social club had the karaoke. I'm sure there was something in the manor, something. Well, we were in the red room at one point, and then but at 10:45, everyone needs to either be or getting to the pool deck.
Yeah.
Because then there's the dancing and more the end of the story there, and then it's like 11 o'clock. They're taking the net off the pool and starting to dance and the pool set up. There's two
Ledges.
Tracy called it the shallow end. It's a few inches deep.
Yeah. Ledges.
And that's where the dancers first started, and then one thing they did a good job of, people know to stay back because there's the pool, there's a ledge where the dancers were, and then there's a walkway around it. And people were just outside of that, and you could tell they were waiting to run in. Most people ran into those shallow ends and just started dancing. And I know, Brian, you made the comment. It's like it took a long time for someone to jump fully into the.
But they did it.
They did it.
They did it.
They did. And that's sort of it's not the end of Scarlet Night, because as Brian mentioned,
Right.
there are still a party going on. It kind of migrates from up on the pool deck down into the manor, which is the club space. It's also the space where they have the ship show that we went to, which is a variety show on board that you do have to reserve, although it's included. It's also a dinner show if you want to eat dinner there. We didn't eat dinner there. We had eaten dinner before. But yeah, so there's definitely a lot going on, and there's as Michael mentioned, you'd probably would migrate from party to party until you found one that you just kind of vibed with. You like the space, you like the people. I think that's probably the typical way people sort of find where they want to go and spend their time on Scarlet Night.
Sam, since you mentioned, so Charlie Brown asked when do people jump in the pool? That is the culminating party. 10:45 it starts on the upper deck. It's like, done is the wrong word, but the show aspect of it's done within about 15 to 20 minutes. And then there's dancing happening. And then at some point that DJ kind of shuts down and moves everyone down to the manor to keep dancing. Cause it is loud. It is loud on that upper deck when you're up there, and, they move it and confine it into the manor so that people can actually, go to bed if they want.
Loud is a good word. I actually had earplugs with me, and I put them in during the pool deck thing. So starting at 10:45, because there's a DJ and then there's a singer who comes out, and it's quite loud. I find it kind of loud, and so I put my earplugs in, not for the singer, but once the DJ started pumping. So
I also want to answer Josh's question here. What are the trivia prizes on Virgin? They are not medals. They are drinks usually, because you have to pay for your drinks, and people have bar tabs and stuff. So they give winning teams free drinks.
Yeah, either coffee drinks or alcoholic drinks. Either one, they'll get you. Because the coffee drinks are not included. Like, you can get coffee, right? Drip coffee, but if you want like lattes and those kinds of things, those you have to purchase at the espresso bar. There are some benefits included with Rockstar and Mega Rockstar that are one coffee drink a day, I believe, per person, but generally speaking, those are extra costs. So anything, those extra cost drinks are what they give you as your prize, so for the whole team.
Okay, so I want to keep us moving. That is what Scarlet Night is all about. I want to keep us moving. Still have a lot of ground to cover, and my editor is going to kill me for the length of time this show is going. I do want to talk, Sam, I want to go specifically to you and just talk about shows, and then we're going to talk about Bimini. So talk about shows.
Okay, so there's a couple of different shows. We didn't go to all of them. There was a cappella group and beatboxer on the ship. They did a show. The beatboxer did even his own like sort of seminar show. There's what's called the ship show, which is a variety show, which is sort of part game show, part musical act, part acrobatic acts. Think a balancer and an aerialist and some acrobats. So that's the ship show. There's the Untitled Dance Show, which is a dance show. We didn't go to see that, but that's one. There's the Misbehave Show, which is I think a game show hosted by the Diva. So there's a bunch of different shows. There are a couple of them, like the ship show, you have to reserve, but they are not, but they don't cost extra. You just have to reserve it because there's limited offerings, and they don't want you to, just sort of no show for it. So you have to reserve those spots, and then because they include dinner. But there's throughout the cruise a bunch of different shows. The shows are either in the Manor, which is the club space, or in the Red Room, which is the theater space. So just depending upon which show it is. I'd say quality wise, are they as good as Disney Cruise Line? No, but they are a lot of fun. They do have some risque elements, and they do have some risque language, but they are certainly not R-rated by any means.
I would say they're different, from my opinion. The ship
they
show,
are absolutely different. But
the
I'm
ship
just
show,
saying
I thought the singing quality of the main singer was amazing.
Wonderful.
The talented acrobats, they are not telling a Broadway story. They are
Right.
doing a variety show, but the people
Right.
performing in that variety show are excellent. Like, they are excellent.
Absolutely. That's the only reason why I say it's not like it's a different style, but would I say they're as good as Disney because of that? No, but like they're really wonderful and really entertaining. So it's just a completely different style.
See,
of
I
show.
enjoy the shows on Virgin a bit more than I do on Disney.
you
All right. Let's
You're
go
wrong.
to...
There's also people around in the bars too, like live musicians, like they
Yeah.
have at Disney, like in the atrium or whatever. There was a violin player, there was a couple that would sing. I mean, so there is that as well during the day and into the evening. So just so you know that that's available as well.
Yeah, and Robin saying in the chat, Misbehave is R-rated, I would say. That is the one that is more risque. And that is the one that we have still not... I tried to go... we still have not seen it. So,
It's
yeah.
just there's so much to do.
I
It's
also
hard
want to say...
fit it in.
the theater spaces are much smaller on board. These are not the grand Walt Disney Theater. This is like much more like community theater space, all black. You can see like the tape on the ground for the marks and that kind of stuff. So it is not the same kind of theater space that you will see on a Disney Cruise Line or even, frankly, a Royal Caribbean cruise line. Bimini. All right, we got to talk about Bimini. Bimini is Virgin Voyages, I'm going to say, private destination. It is not a private island. It is more of a private beach club resort area with a lot. There's a lot to do. You can do on Bimini. So there's shore excursions you can do. You can rent golf carts. There's just all kinds of different things you can do on Bimini. We went to the private beach club. Tracy and Michael, I'm coming to you. Castaway Cay versus Bimini, or Lookout, basically Disney private island experience versus Bimini, help folks understand the difference, but also what you thought about the two experiences.
I mean, for me, I mean, a lot of times when I'm going to either Castaway or when we've gone to Lookout, I'm just wanting to be in the water and at the beach. And I'd say for that, it was good. I mean, we were right in the water off the beach. We did have some chairs that were easy to get near where we were, and the bar was an easy walk back when we wanted something to drink, even if that was water. It was right there and available to us. One thing they have, we didn't go to it, but what they don't have at Lookout or Castaway is a pool. So if you're not a beach person, if you don't like the ocean water, you at least have the pool to go to. There are times, I mean, both at Castaway when we've been out at Serenity, it's been so shallow you have to go out, 100 yards to get to water up to your waist. And same thing in some of the family beach areas at Castaway. It seems more hit or miss there, where both at Lookout and at Bimini, that didn't seem to be the case. You're going to be able to get into the water fairly quickly up to near over your head if you want.
And I would say the same. Like the drinks were great, the atmosphere was good, the music was pumping. We did the things that we like to do at the beach, which is get in the water, stand around, talk with our friends, or lay on a beach chair. We didn't eat there. Sam and Brian didn't have the best experience the first time, so they steered us back to the ship to eat, which was fine. I mean,
even the crew.
And we did look at the menu.
I looked at the menu. Yeah. There was nothing on there I was going to eat. So
even the crew acknowledges at times, like, it's not that great.
Yeah. So for what we like for the beach, it was perfect. It was lovely. The one thing I will say is they didn't have merch at Bimini, like at their beach club. I'm sure if I'd have gone into the actual town, I could have found something that said Bimini on or whatever. And overall, the Virgin merch is lacking as far as I'm concerned. I'm a merch girl. I like to, bring home something that says something on it where I was. But overall, the beach was beautiful. It was clean. The sand was really soft. The water was perfect temperature. The drinks were good, and the company was great. So I got no complaints.
Yeah. I think Bimini is it's totally different than Castaway. It's not like a fully curated experience. It's more like a Royal Caribbean, although toned way down. So it's, it's about the pool, the music, the beach, but it's a nice area. I will give them beautiful sandy beach, beautiful water, good drinks, easy to get. They don't have bar servers circulating though, which is just, it's kind of annoying to have to get out of the beach, go up, get your drink and come back down. The only people who get bar service are if you book a cabana. And the cabanas are nothing like you will not anywhere near as nice as what you see on Castaway or Lookout.
But you can book them and they're available.
Yeah. They come with bar credit. That's why people book them. They come with bar credit because you got to pay for all your drinks. So drink packages, bar credit, bar tab credit, all that sort of stuff. All right. before we wrap up, I'm going to have one more question for all of us, or actually 2 questions for all of us, go around the horn. But I want to answer some very tactical, specific questions people have been raising in the chat so they know what's going on. So someone asked about boarding. Vanessa asked about how do boarding times work. This is a unique thing on Virgin Voyages. So with Virgin, they don't board until 1:30. Why? Because you get to stay on the ship. Like, we had brunch reservation at 9:30 in the morning. So you can actually book a restaurant that morning, 9:30, 10:30, they want everybody off the ship, but they don't board again until 1:30. So there's a later disembarkation to accommodate a later embarkation time. I don't remember. So someone asked what the benefits are between Rockstar and Mega Rockstar. So some of the shared benefits are priority embark, disembark on the ship. So we didn't have to pick boarding times. I honestly can't tell you as I sit here today if you have to pick a boarding time after 1:30 or if it's just show up to the port anytime after 1:30.
No, you get assigned one.
Yeah.
If you're not Rockstar or above, you get assigned it. Yeah. But the difference is at that time you go through and you get right on the ship.
Yeah.
You shouldn't have to wait like you do at Disney.
Virgin also encourages, at least out of the Port of Miami, they have excursions you can book on embarkation day out of Miami. They encourage you, come drop off your luggage at the port and then go explore the city. We don't care. And so, like, they're really encouraging you not to just treat Miami as the place where you get on the ship, but as a place to go explore and have some fun. So, but anyway, so specifics about boarding, 1:30, it's much later, but it gives you some more time on the ship at the end. I also want to mention for folks luggage, so they don't send you luggage tags. You print them out at home, and you can buy these little plastic sleeves that you can hook onto your luggage and slide your luggage tags in. I think they really want you just to fold them up and staple them together to get your luggage on board. But even if you don't do either of those things, they will still tag your luggage at the port. So it is not, you get the luggage tags 30 days in advance. You got to remember them and tag your luggage. Like Disney, they'll tag it at the port. Or you can print them out at home, and you can buy these luggage sleeve things. Like, just search for cruise luggage tags on Amazon, and you'll find there's a Royal Caribbean version that's long and narrow, and there's another version that's squat and fat. We use the squat and fat version. Neither version really worked for Virgin's tags like perfectly, but the squat and fat version holds the luggage tags just fine.
And don't throw away your luggage tags when you get on board. They use the same tags for boarding and disembarkation. So just an FYI, that's something we didn't know because our first time on Virgin, because Disney obviously uses different tags. Virgin uses the same tags for boarding and disembarkation.
Yeah. Rockstar versus Mega Rockstar. So just to say, like, Rockstar, they have, you start with like a little bit of a nicer stateroom, a little larger stateroom. They have different categories of stateroom within Rockstar. You do get access to a Rockstar agent on board who can, sort of act as your guest services staff, arrange dining for you, move dining reservations, help you book things on board that need to be booked, spa treatments, that kind of stuff. You get access to Richard's Rooftop, which is the private Rockstar, Mega Rockstar only area. They do a nightly happy hour where they have a small set menu of drinks that you can order complimentary for the hour between, like, I think it's 5 and 6 essentially. But you get access to that Richard's Rooftop area all day as well. They have hot tubs and lots of loungers, daybed kind of things all over there. So if you want a quiet place away from the pool to go sit and relax, you can go to Richard's Rooftop. You do get a lower tier Wi-Fi package included with Rockstar. The other tip I'll give you, separate from Rockstar, Mega Rockstar, is they do status matching on Virgin Voyages. So if you have status with Disney Cruise Line, you can go register with Virgin and you will immediately kind of jump up at least one tier in their loyalty status program. And that does get you some benefits like, bar tab on board and things like that are given to you. So you might get like a $100 bar credit with your status. You might get discount on laundry or a free bag of laundry while you're on board, that kind of stuff. I think Rockstar gets maybe a free bag of laundry now that I think about it.
No, not Rockstar. No, not Rockstar. It was our status. Status that got us that.
Yeah. Rockstar used to get Rockstar used to get a free trip into the thermal spa, which is essentially like the rainforest room on Disney Cruise Line. I'd say it's every bit as comparable to the rainforest room on Disney Cruise Line. It's very nice. We spent an afternoon there and absolutely enjoyed it. But now Rockstar just gets priority booking, and they have to pay the $89 or $86 fee for the thermal spa, but you have to book it. So unlike the rainforest room on Disney, where you buy a pass, either a day pass or a week length of cruise pass, you have to actually book times for the thermal spa and pay a fee for it on Virgin. And you get like up to 3 hours in the spa before you're supposed to leave. I think that's a great thing because they actually tightly control then how many people are in there using it. It never felt crowded. It always felt clean, plenty of space, all that kind of stuff. Mega Rockstar, you start to get into all of the Rockstar benefits, plus like, you have a dedicated Rockstar agent who has fewer cabins to be dealing with. You get unfettered access to the thermal spa without a reservation or a fee. You get free daily laundry. If you want to send your laundry out every day, they will happily take it, clean it, bring it back the next day. So there's some added.
There's no self-service laundry on the ships.
No yeah. You get higher end Wi-Fi. You get the top tier Wi-Fi package in Mega Rockstar. So someone asked about Wi-Fi, you do pay. I think everyone on the ship gets like a very basic package of Wi-Fi. But then if you want slightly faster, you pay more. And then they have a work at sea package where you can actually like do Zoom video calls and stuff like that. So Mega Rockstar gets the work at sea package, so you can do streaming and things like that. Another key difference between Virgin and Disney: there are no photographers on Virgin Voyages. So all the pictures you take, they're your own with your phone or your camera. They don't have roaming photographers. They don't have photo packages. Sort of a what happens on Virgin stays on Virgin kind of situation. So just know that going in, there are no photographers. Someone asked if sodas.
And yet we still got lots of pictures of Brian.
Yes, it's too many. Someone asked if sodas were included on board. There are sodas and tea and coffee in the galley area on board that you can go up and get. Virgin discourages single-use containers throughout the ship, so it's always a good idea to bring your own cup, although they have cups there, if you want to grab them. Sodas ordered from bars, however, do cost. So, much like Disney, it's like there's an area where you can get free soda, but if you want a soda from the bar, you're going to pay unless you buy a bar tab in advance. They don't do like drink packages, they do purchase bar tab. And so bar tab is basically preloading money into your account that can only be used for drinks. And so they give different kinds of packages, like pay $500 to get $750 worth of bar credit, that kind of thing. And so you kind of have to carefully weigh how much you think you're going to drink as against how much tab you want to preload. I'd say the mixed drinks vary between $13 or something like $15. So if you use that as a rough estimate, you can kind of start to get a sense of what you might need on board. Mega Rockstar, all drinks are included. I should say all drinks up to I think it's $28 was the cap out before you have to pay
25.
For it. Yeah. And then you got some, like you got up to $80 for a bottle of wine at dinner. Anything over that, you didn't just pay the difference, you paid the whole full freight for the drink or the bottle of wine. One of the other things that Virgin's known for is Shake for Champagne. So in their app, there's a way that you can shake your phone and they will bring you a bottle of champagne wherever you are on the ship. They used to do glasses. It is now bottle service only, and it's Moet champagne, which I think ran about $105 a bottle on board. Yeah, and there's some packages you can buy, some amenity packages you can buy that include one free shake for champagne while you're on board kind of situation. So that's the drinks. I should also say for Rockstar and Mega Rockstar, you get an in-room bar. For Rockstar, your first round is on them. So they've got a bar with kind of like I call them like the half bottles of liquor. They'll have a rum, a vodka, a gin, something like that. You'll have a fridge stocked with, like Red Bull, soda, things like that. So as you deplete that, it's gone. And if you want more, you have to pay for it. Mega Rockstar is an unlimited bar with including premium liquor. And so if you drink through a bottle, they will replace that bottle. Or if you want a higher end gin, they will bring you a bottle of it and put it in your room. So that is one of the other differences for Rockstar, Mega Rockstar. Last thing I want to say, disembarkation is a little different. It's not just a later time. You have to actually, if you're not sailing Rockstar, Mega Rockstar, book your disembarkation slot off the ship. And so you have to go into the app to register your disembarkation time before you disembark. Just going to see if there were any other questions that we missed.
Linda, there was no chocolate souffle, so CT and I would be very, very sad.
Yeah.
But I will say the
and
chocolate
Vanessa,
s'more cookie.
there's no ironing boards because there's no laundry rooms, period. So
Right.
there's no self-service laundry. There's no self-service ironing. You have to send out things to be laundered or to be pressed.
Yes. Do they have connecting staterooms? That I don't know. I want to say the answer is no, but I don't know is the real
Yeah, I
answer.
don't know that either.
Yeah. All right. Last time, around the horn. Here we go as we wrap up. I think I basically asked this question when we were on the ship, but pros, cons, favorites, opportunities. Give me, what was your favorite thing on board Virgin, and what was the thing that you liked the least about sailing on Virgin? Let's start with Sam. Sam, you go first.
Ooh, okay. Oh, this is hard. I didn't think of this
She's
ahead
not
of time.
prepared.
Okay, favorite thing. The favorite thing I love is the bar spaces. I think the bar spaces are really smartly designed. There's always a place to sit, I would say. Like, even if we went to a bar and it was pretty crowded, I feel like we could always find a corner to sit in and enjoy. So that was, I think, favorite bar spaces. I'd say a room for improvement. For me, I think the food can be a little bit weird at times. Some of the food items are a little bit weird and a little bit too different. And particularly in the galley, there were times where I struggled to figure out what I wanted to eat there for, let's say, lunch would be a good example. Now, because the pizza place was always an option, or burger is always an option in the galley, it always turned out okay. But there were times where I struggled, and I don't feel that on Disney. I never struggle to find food that I want to eat. Did I answer all your questions?
Yes, you did. Tracy,
Okay.
Michael, you can choose your order here, but what one highlight, one low light, or one big
You wanna go?
opportunity?
Sure.
Okay.
I mean, the highlight is just the layout of the public space, that there are places to just sit and relax, either away from people, with people, outside, inside, in comfortable seating. Not you're not struggling to find it like you do on DCL. I mean, I was able, when I wanted to move, just to change what I was looking at, it was easy to do, and I could even I went outside and worked, and the internet worked. Two downsides: public restrooms are far and few between, and
hard to find.
Not well marked. So now a couple days in you find it, but on a shorter cruise, a couple days in and your cruise is half over. So you kind of learn where they are. And the other thing I'll throw in is, working on the cruise, for me, I did prepay for the premium internet upgrade, and it was great for streaming most of what I did. Then I had to get on a Zoom call. They block it. Zoom, even to view your calendar on Zoom, requires the work at sea package, which is pretty expensive for the whole trip. So.
Okay.
Tracy, what about you?
For me, I would definitely say the pastries / pizza. Like, this is a hot take because y'all know I love pizza, and I always tout Disney pizza, especially like on the Treasure, and but the pizza on this ship beat Disney's pizza every time, and I had it 4 times. So, and then I would say for the miss, I agree with Sam on that, is the food in the galley at lunchtime. At breakfast, I could easily find things that I liked and could enjoy. They had an omelet station. They would fry your eggs over. They had some really yummy French toast. Their bacon was crispy. Like, their breakfast was spot on for me. But you could also, that was just in the like diner-ish kind of area. But then like Michael went back to the like the taco place and got like a breakfast burrito. So I think that breakfasts they were good, but for lunches I was like you. I really struggle because like especially because I'm picky. I was either a burger or pizza pretty much or a salad. Now they do. I guess another up real quick is because they're very conscious of waste. They do the salads and a charcuterie board and the sushi all in reusable plastic containers that they take and they clean and then they reuse those. And the only place I saw paper cups was the coffee shop and the gym. Everywhere else was plastic glasses for your pop and all that kind of stuff. So that I really like that idea. But the galley definitely was kind of for lunch was kind of like, and we didn't really eat at the galley for dinner.
Yeah, I think it'd be the same.
So I don't know whether they had different things that maybe there would have been something else for me to pick from. But yeah, that was probably my downer for Virgin.
I will say in defense of some of the food, like they had a butter chicken in the galley on like our last day at lunchtime, and I was like, this is one of the best butter chickens I've ever had on a cruise. It was like actually flavorful and spicy. So like it was fascinating to me the number of complaints we saw in the cruise group about how the food is not great. And I'm like, I can't tell if that was coming from people who really wanted like a bland food experience and Virgin was just too adventurous for them, or maybe it was what Sam was saying, the food was just too adventurous. But like the thing I am always harping on Disney about is I want food that's interesting, and sometimes it's like that sounds interesting and then it comes and it's like flavorless, bland heap, I'm just like, yeah,
I want interesting, not weird.
yeah. Well, and I want flavorful. Like Tiana's is
Right.
flavorful food, but I even think they could turn it up a notch in Tiana's and still be really, really good. But sometimes stuff comes down. It's like there's no seasoning to this. There's no flavor for it. So anyway,
In the butter chicken, we both really enjoyed it, and you saw someone basically throwing out a whole plate of it.
yeah, yeah.
And I think it was either the spice level or the seasoning level. They must not have been to their liking.
I agree with Robin. They needed chicken fingers and fries as an option. I could not find a chicken sandwich on this ship, you guys. Like a breaded chicken sandwich like on Disney, especially when they have the spicy one. So good. They didn't have one.
So
Didn't exist.
Before I give my highlight and my low light and wrap us up, there was one question I forgot to answer, and there's also one trend happening in the chat right now that I want to acknowledge. And so the one question was for adult multi-generational parties, which is better, Virgin or Royal? This is really, I think, there is no clear answer. This is a know thyself. I think if we were sailing with my parents today, I would be like, we're going on Virgin, because my parents regress by like, they live in New Orleans. They love Mardi Gras. They love French Quarter Fest. Like they love that party time atmosphere. I think my mom would get a kick out of like all the stuff happening around the ship. Noise level may be a little high, but like, other than that, I think she'd get a kick out of it. And I think the food would be up her alley, all that sort of stuff. So you got to know your party. If it's a much more sedate, kind of thing, like maybe Royal, I will just put a pin in like Royal for a second and say, Royal ships are pretty crowded and they're pretty hectic. And so like, I also, you got to be willing to tolerate some of that kind of stuff. So it really is just I think you got to know your party really well and know the pros and cons of different cruise lines to figure that question out. I don't think there's one right answer to that question, unfortunately, Vanessa. So, the trend that's happening in chat is a call for a DCL Duo Virgin Voyages podcast cruise. I am not opposed. I will just say that, so I am not opposed. If Karen's out there watching, maybe she'll pencil in. We may try to have a Virgin.
Karen's in Paris right now, so she is
definitely
probably
not watching.
asleep.
Yeah,
she's not watching live.
When she listens to this after, just know, Karen, that might be coming your way for, I don't know, 20.
She's going to start planning it as soon as she hears this episode, Brian.
I mean, she did offer to have I think her Virgin Voyages sales rep offered to come on the show. So, there you go. So maybe we'll have them on and we can talk about making that happen. All right. My highlight and my low light. So my highlight is actually probably going to be shocking to most of you listening and to Sam. I found this cruise to be one of the more social experiences that I have had in cruising, even on Disney. I think there are definitely people on Disney who like to engage in chit chat, but some of what I feel like is happening on Disney is like, oh my God, I'm on a family vacation. Like, please don't talk to me. I need my alone time. Like, just leave me alone. My kids are in the kids club. Just leave me alone. Right. On this cruise, you get in the pool and it's instantly like people are like, you're talking, you're chit-chatting, you're having drinks. Like you make friends, like Sam loves these. You make friends everywhere. We made 2 friends. They might be out there listening. Shirag and what was Amrita, right? Amrita.
Yeah.
We did a brain teasers one morning and we won. And Shirag was like, "How did you get so many points?" And like we started, and they were lovely people. And I'm just not sure that that has not always been my experience.
Friends at the Grog Walk that we saw around the ship later. I wish we had gotten to spend more time with them, but it's definitely. And then of course some people in the pool start talking to me, and they happen to have a different lifestyle and told me all about their
upside
lives.
down pineapple action happening.
I won't tell you all the stuff they told me because we are a family friendly show, but there's some interesting stories I'm not sure I wanted to hear.
Yeah.
It's interesting because at the gym, it was the same thing. When I go to the gym at Disney, nobody makes eye contact, nobody talks. And in the gym, everybody was talking. Everybody was like, "Hey, can I work in here?" It was very interesting social experiment because I was just like, what is happening? Why, all these people, sure, work in with me, no problem. Like I'm good, So that's interesting that's what you also saw.
Yeah. My low light for Virgin is just the noise level. And so like at the pool, they have a DJ and it starts off at like, I feel like Milton from Office Space. It starts off at a reasonable volume and it feels like there's a timer happening and every hour it just goes up a level and
right
up a
at
level,
noon.
And
I
up
feel
a
like
level.
right at noon is when they
but it's to the point where it's like
everyone's awake. Let's go.
It's to the point where it's like I can't carry a conversation with the person I'm talking to at the pool because it's getting so loud, right? And so I do think that they have an opportunity to maybe just turn it down a little, right? Just turn it down a little. Like maybe their motto is "turn down for what," but like just a little. All right. So that's my one thing is I found at times the noise was getting a little out of hand. I mean, especially like we were in the nail salon and the whole room is vibrating from the DJ and it's like normal for the nail technicians. And I'm like, is there like an essential bolt in this ship that is just slowly being shaken loose by the bass? And I also look at that and go, if you're going to play the music that loud, did no one think to add extra soundproofing in some of these ship spaces to like prevent the noise from traveling? It was not a problem in our stateroom. I just want to be perfectly clear. Like we weren't like up all night listening to like loud music or anything like that, but it was just in a couple spaces, you get this like bleed through effect from another venue that's like right there. Maybe that's what they're going for, frankly. Maybe they're like, get out a sip and go to the manor and shake your booty. I don't know. But yeah. But so anyway, noise level was a little bit challenging. I lied. I've got one more question because someone asked it in the chat, and I think it's the right one to end on. Who here is sailing on Virgin Voyages again? Who will sail on Virgin Voyages again? Sam, yes or no? Oh, I see hands raised. So Sam's a yes, Michael's a yes, Tracy's a yes. For those of you listening after the fact, I'm a yes. We will definitely sail on Virgin again. Disney still has our heart, and we still have an 11-year-old son. So
don't worry. We're not becoming the Virgin Voyages duo. But we see a place for Virgin Voyages in our cruise repertoire. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
The vibe is just so different. Disney is just that laid back, and then you get on Virgin and like the DJ's pumping and it's a completely different vibe. And so it just depends on what vibe we're going for. And for us, if Nathan's coming, we're going to go sail Nathan, so. Yeah.
Well, and I think Tracy hit the nail on the head too, like not hearing the Disney music all week and instead just kind of having this like soundtrack going. It totally created a different mood.
Not one let it go.
Not one let it go.
Not even a karaoke.
All right. We are going to have to leave it there because we're an hour and 45 minutes into the show. Thank you for all of you for hanging in with us. Thank you for all of you who will listen to any portion of this episode after on our podcast channel. We will be back next week. 5:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. Pacific. See, I did it, Sam. I did it. 5:30 p.m. Pacific, 8:30 p.m. Eastern on Monday night. Next week, we will have the fabulous, the incomparable, the first-time guest, but who we know well, Chris Paul and family coming on to talk about their amazing Mediterranean cruise that they just got off of. Can't wait to hear.
Europe. Yeah.
Cannot wait to hear all about it.
And as Karen says in the comments, if you've stayed this long, be sure to hit the like button before the show ends. And don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube if you're not already subscribed.
And Tracy, Michael, thank you for being our guest this evening. If you want to follow along with Tracy and Michael's adventures, you can head over to Instagram and follow Adrift Together. That's at Adrift Together. And they were posting fabulous pictures from the Virgin Voyages sailing. So fun little account to follow. So head over there and follow them. Michael's pointing at Tracy because it's her
because
account.
it's all Tracy.
Yes,
But Michael's pictured in it, but it's all
I
Tracy.
proofread.
Yes.
Yeah, she does great posts and videos and content traveling, but also content at home. Yeah, thanks again, you guys. Thanks for all of you who are watching at home, for all of you who are watch this recorded on YouTube, or all of you listening on our podcast channels. We so appreciate you, and we will see you next week.
See ya.